Most men don't realize this painful truth. Sometimes a relationship has already been dead for a long time, but they're still the only ones trying to keep it alive. It's like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. No matter how much you give, nothing ever lasts. You hold on, you sacrifice, you keep proving your love, but the more you fight for it, the more respect and attraction you lose along the way. The reality is, love was never meant to be forced. If you have to strain and beg just to hold it together, then maybe it's not love anymore. Maybe what you're clinging to is just the memory of what once was, or worse, the fear of being alone. And here's the real danger. Many men confuse persistence with strength. They believe that never giving up is a sign of loyalty. But what they don't see is that this blind persistence often pushes them deeper into humiliation, while the woman quietly checks out of the relationship. That's why in today's video, I'm going to walk you through 7 undeniable signs that you're no longer in a real relationship, you're just forcing it. And once you recognize these signs, there will be no excuses left. You'll finally see the truth for what it is, and more importantly, you'll know when it's time to stop chasing, reclaim your self-respect, and let go.
Let me tell you something most men don't want to admit. Sometimes you're not her first choice. You're just the backup plan, the safe option she keeps around just in case. And here's the hard truth. If that's your role, you're not really in a relationship. You're just filling a space in her life until something better comes along. Think about how that feels. One day she's warm, texting you sweet things, making you believe she's all in. The next day, she's cold, distant, almost like a stranger. Just enough affection to keep you hanging on, but never enough to give you certainty. That's not love, that's convenience. I've seen men stay in this position for years, telling themselves, at least she hasn't left me, at least she's still here. But what's worse, being alone or being with someone who only chooses you when she has no better options? Deep down, you already know the answer. Being someone's backup crushes your confidence far more than walking away ever will. So here's what I want you to remember. A woman who truly values you will make you her priority, not her plan B. She'll invest, she'll commit, and she'll fear losing you. But if you feel like you're the spare tire in her trunk, then it's time to wake up. You deserve to be the prize, not the placeholder. So let me ask you, have you ever felt like the backup plan in someone's life? And if so, how much longer are you willing to live in that role before you finally choose yourself?
Here's a truth most men ignore. Attention is the purest form of currency in a relationship. And if she's only giving you the leftovers of her attention, then you've already lost more than you realize. Think about it. When a woman truly values you, she makes space for you. She carves out time, no matter how busy life gets, because you matter to her. But when she's halfway out the door, you only get the scraps, what's left after she's poured herself into her phone, her friends, her work, even strangers online. I've seen it happen countless times. A man sends a heartfelt text in the morning, telling him how much she means to him. Hours pass, no reply, then finally a dry LOL or a half-hearted thanks. Meanwhile, she's been posting on social media all day, laughing with everyone else except him. That's not busyness, that's priorities. She's showing you where you rank, and sadly, it's at the bottom. But here's where it gets dangerous. Many men convince themselves those crumbs are enough. At least she replied. At least she still picks up my calls. Brother, that's not love. That's self-deception.
And the more you tolerate it, the more you train her to put you last, because she sees you'll accept it. Let me be blunt. A woman who's truly excited about you will not make you beg for attention. She'll give it freely, fully, and joyfully. If you're only getting her leftovers, you're not in a relationship. You're clinging to someone who doesn't value you the same way.
If you find yourself constantly making excuses for her, I have to tell you, you're not in a healthy relationship. You're living in denial. And denial is the most dangerous place a man can live. I've seen men do this all the time. She ignores his calls for days, and he says she's just busy. She stops showing affection, and he convinces himself she just has a lot on her mind. Brother, deep down you know the truth. Her actions don't match someone who's in love. But instead of facing it, you rewrite the story to protect your feelings. I once had a friend who did this for months. He'd show up with flowers, she'd barely look up from her phone. He'd plan dinners, she'd cancel last minute. And every time, he'd defend her behavior. She's stressed, she's tired, she didn't mean it. What he didn't see was that every excuse he made stripped away a little more of his self-respect. Here's the tough love. When a woman truly values you, she won't leave you guessing. Her actions will speak louder than any excuse. She won't make you explain away her coldness because her warmth will be obvious. But when you find yourself constantly defending her, even in your own head, it means you're more afraid of losing her than you are of losing yourself. So ask yourself, are you holding on to real love, or are you just holding on to a story you keep telling yourself? Because the day you stop excusing her behavior is the day you finally reclaim your dignity.
Here's a bitter truth most men don't want to face. If her friends already know she's not into you, then you're the only one still living in denial. Think about it. Women talk a lot. And when a woman isn't excited about a man, her friends see it instantly. They see the texts she ignores. They notice the lack of spark in her voice when your name comes up. They pick up on the way her energy drops the second you walk into the room. And guess what? They're not going to tell you. It's not their job to fix your blindness. Now, here's where many men embarrass themselves. You think you're winning her over with your persistence, but meanwhile, her whole circle already knows you're hanging on by a thread. They pity you. They see you as the guy trying too hard for a woman who doesn't really care. And that's not respect, that's humiliation. But let's flip the coin. When a woman is truly into you, her friends know it too. They tease her about you. They're curious to meet you. They want to know who's making her smile at her phone. That's when you know you're the real deal. So pay attention, brother. If her friends treat you like an afterthought, it's because that's exactly how she sees you. Stop forcing yourself into a story where you were never the main character. Real love doesn't keep you hidden in the shadows. It puts you front and center.
Here's a tough pill to swallow. If you're always the one chasing her, you're not in a relationship, you're in a pursuit. And pursuit only feels exciting when it's mutual. A healthy relationship is like two people walking toward each other, step by step. Effort meets effort, energy meets energy. But when you're the only one moving forward, eventually you exhaust yourself while she sits back enjoying the attention. That's not love, that's entertainment, and you're the entertainer. Think about how this plays out. You're the one who always calls, always texts, always plans the dates. You're the one apologizing first, even when you did nothing wrong. Meanwhile, she rarely initiates. She cancels last minute, shows up late, never suggests alternatives. And yet, you keep telling yourself, if I just prove myself enough, she'll finally see how much I care. But here's the brutal truth. Attraction doesn't grow from pressure. It grows from desire. And if she's not chasing you, even just a little, it means her desire isn't matching yours. Women are smart. They know when they've got a man hooked. And if you're always the one doing the chasing, she has no reason to invest. Brother, persistence isn't love. It's self-sabotage when it's one-sided. So the question is, are you in a partnership or are you in a one-man marathon? Because the moment you stop running, you'll quickly see if she was ever willing to take a single step toward you.
One of the clearest signs you're forcing a relationship is when you start losing yourself. And I don't mean small compromises. We all make those. I'm talking about when your entire identity begins to revolve around her. You used to have hobbies, passions, a purpose that lit you up, but slowly you let them go. You stopped seeing your friends because she didn't like them. You dropped the gym because she wasn't into it. You even bent your own principles, things you swore you'd never compromise just to keep her happy. And little by little, you stopped being you. I've seen men do this and convince themselves it's love. I'm sacrificing because she's worth it. But brother, that's not love. That's fear. Fear of losing her if you stand tall in your own truth. And here's the problem. The more you erase yourself, the less she respects you. A woman can't admire a man who abandons himself just to keep her around. Think about it. Real attraction comes from strength, from presence, from a man who knows who he is and doesn't apologize for it. When you trade all of that away for her approval, you're not loving her, you're worshiping her. And no one truly loves being worshipped. They love being met as equals. So ask yourself, when you look in the mirror, do you even recognize the man staring back? Because if you've lost your own voice, your own ground, then you haven't just lost her. You've lost yourself. And that's the worst deal a man can ever make.
Here's something most men overlook until it's too late. When a woman is truly invested in you, she doesn't just talk about today, she talks about tomorrow. She says things like, when we take that trip together, or next year we should. Notice the word we. That's the language of commitment. That's the language of building. But when her future stories no longer include you, when it's always I instead of we, that's a warning sign you can't afford to ignore. Maybe she says, I'm thinking about moving, or I want to start something new, and you realize she never once mentioned your role in that picture. That silence is louder than any argument. It tells you her heart isn't planning around you anymore. I've watched men miss this clue because they're too focused on the present. They think, at least she's still here today. But let me ask you, what good is her presence today if she's already walking away in her mind? A relationship without a shared future isn't really a relationship, it's just two people passing time. The truth is, a woman who sees you as her partner will naturally dream out loud with you. She'll include you in her vision, her plans, her some days. And if she stopped doing that, it's not because she forgot, it's because she doesn't see you there anymore. So don't just listen to her words of affection.
Listen to her vision. If she's not building a we, then you're already standing in a house without a foundation, and sooner or later, it will collapse.
The truth is this: if you have to work this hard just to be loved, then she doesn't love you anymore. Real love doesn't require endless explanations. It doesn't demand you chase, beg, or prove your worth. And it certainly doesn't reduce you to being someone's backup option. Remember, strength isn't about how long you can hold on. Strength is about knowing when to let go, when respect and effort have already left the room. That's the kind of courage most men struggle with, but it's the only path back to your self-respect. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in this situation? Did you recognize any of these signs in your own life? Share your story in the comments below, because your experience might be the wake-up call another man desperately needs before it's too late. And listen, this journey doesn't end here, because sometimes the roles reverse. Sometimes she's the one holding on, forcing a relationship that's already over in your heart. That's what we'll dive into in the next video. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when it drops. You don't want to miss it.